right. So we've got Brandon Brotsky on the podcast today, otherwise known as the best hair in the biz. What kind of product do you use on that?
It's a good question, Derek, actually. This is actually Kenra Level 25. See that? Thanks, Amazon.
That's an Amazon job there?
Yeah, I mean, I order from Amazon. It's the best because I buy in bulk.
Because you run through like a tub a week?
Yeah, it's myself and my son, actually. I got him on the hair game, too.
Wow, Aiden's up on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
What does that look like, finished product? Like start to finish, walk me through that process.
You want the whole run?
Yeah, I want the regular.
All right.
If I'm going to, I don't have as much to work with here.
Well, that's all right. We'll grow it out. You need a little more length.
I got like the even.
You have the hair. We just need, it's not long enough. But first off, it's got to be bone dry.
First.
Okay. Yeah, you don't put product in hair until it's bone dry.
See, that's where I'm going wrong. Mine's a little wet.
Oh, rookie mistake right there. Yeah.
God damn, I knew it.
Yeah, got to get bone dry. Then you're throwing on. I actually use like a clay product first.
Yeah. Okay.
Not too much. Just enough. Yeah.
Like a dab.
Just a dab.
Dab would do.
Yeah, that's it. Rub it in. Then you go with the hairspray, followed by the blow dryer again.
Oh, you bring the blow dryer out?
How do you think you dry the hair, dude?
I mean,
I'm not air drying. I don't have time for that.
There's oxygen.
No, it's literally blow dry it, get that thing bone dry, and you're ready to go.
All right.
I have a little wavy hair, so I have to get it straight. So the only way to do that, you got to dry it out.
All right, enough about hair. Let's talk about loans.
Let's do it.
Stuff that people really care about.
Oh, really? I thought I was here for the hair. That's fine.
Me too. I need a tutorial. I'm going to get a blow dryer.
I'll get you after this.
All right. So I know you, obviously. I've known you for a long time. People that are tuning in, quick resume about you. How long you been in the business?
In the business going on 21 years. President of Reach Home Loans. We're a correspondent lender located in Boca Raton. Heavily involved in origination. Although I'm the president, I'm still involved on the ground in the mix every day. Did my own production, still do my own production, but have more of a team aspect to it now.
Okay.
So I have support that I didn't necessarily have early on.
Yep.
Which I think is important to be able to grow and scale your business and be more efficient and work effectively. And yeah, I mean that's really the gist of it.
So, this is just being transparent. This is our second take because the audio jacked up the first time. But we had some good stuff, rehashing what we were talking about before. Personally, not an ego stroke. You have a good story. We worked together. That's how we knew each other. In what, like 20, was it 09 or 2010? 2010.
Yeah, 2010.
So 2010, we worked together for like 4 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, you've had this meteoric rise from an origination standpoint. So what's your secret?
I want to know. It's actually the hair, Derek. It's no secret.
Once you get past that, what's the sauce?
I think it's just hard work. Work ethic is extremely important. I've always been a hard worker. I mean, since I was a kid. I had 3 jobs in high school, right? And I think
3 jobs?
Yeah, believe it or not. I think that's important. I think it's tough to find that, unfortunately, in South Florida especially, is to find people who are willing to put in the work. Everyone wants to make the money and be successful because they see the end result. They see what Derek has, but they don't see what it took to get Derek to where he is, right? Or they don't see what struggles I had, over the last 20 years getting to where I am today.
Yeah.
It's not like I just showed up to the office and you know what? I'm making money, right? Yeah. I'm successful from a financial standpoint. Right?
There's a grind element to it for sure.
100%. I think that's extremely important. But as far as reaching a specific level, I think it's surrounding yourself with the right people is important. Building the right team for that support. You can't do it on your own, although you might think you can. Earlier on, I thought I had to do it all on my own.
Yeah.
And,
we both subscribe to that train of thought.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. And like we were saying earlier, and unfortunately we lost the feed, but, I like to be in control of things, in every aspect. Yeah.
Vicky.
Sorry, Vicky, but she knows that already. She says it all the time, go ahead and leave. No one's ever gonna be with you. I should get an award for being with you. My mom says it all the time. It's true. I'm probably not the easiest person. I like things to be done a certain way, and it's not a controlling thing. I think it's more of like,
if nothing else, you do good loans and you do good hair.
Yeah, I think
What else do you need?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I'm good for two things, and I make cute kids, right? So 3. But I think I always thought you had to be, so I'm hands-on, but I thought I had to be the person doing it. So there was a point in my origination career where I was literally taking the applications by phone. Mm-hmm. I was collecting all the documents, all the normal things an originator, or I say normal, but the things you would think an originator does.
Right.
Structuring a loan, going and getting pre-approved. And then even when they went under contract, I was collecting the documents and doing all those things, the conditions. Yeah, doing it myself. That is so inefficient. Although I'm the best, there are people that can do those things. It doesn't have to be me doing it.
When you say I'm the best,
I'm being sarcastic.
Of course,
I'm joking.
But it's a valid point, because the train of thought for A-type personalities and originators is that I have to do it all. Client doesn't want to talk to anybody but me. Nobody's going to write the email the way that I want it to be written. Nobody's going to make the phone call and sound the way that I sound. So therefore, rather than train somebody else, and that's a waste of time, and I'm going to invest my time and I'm going to invest my energy into somebody that's not going to be able to do it as good as me, I'm just going to do it myself. And I want to get into that because we talk about scale, right? But can you scale a business that way?
Absolutely not. You are. At that point, you're not a business.
If you continue to do that and something would happen to you, would you still have a business?
Exactly right. That's the way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
You are the business at that point.
And I mean, if I'm just probably not the best analogy, but if something happened to Jeff Bezos, Amazon's still going to be running. Like, your Prime packages are still showing up.
Right.
He's not putting them on the conveyor belt himself.
He's not taping those shut?
I don't think. I mean, I checked yesterday.
He's heavily involved, I heard.
Dude, it's, our business is one of few that I've found where that thought process, not the scale thought process, the I have to do it all because I pride myself on service thought process, is actually encouraged and accepted. So like, this rang true for me, and this kind of like subconsciously, subliminally, as you break through bottlenecks or thresholds or whatever. But I remember we were having dinner with friends, and Silvana's doctor that we went for the kids, like everybody in the neighborhood uses this dude, right? And I remember, not sarcastically, but one of the couples, there's like, oh yeah, I love him. And I was like, what do you love about him? Like, what did you enjoy about, the experience? And the husband was like, well, I'll tell you what I didn't like. You sit in the waiting room for an hour, and then you get into the room, and then you wait another 25 minutes, and then the guy comes in and he spends 3 minutes with you, and then that's it. And I was like, wow, that sounded like us too, right? So this is the doctor that's literally in charge of helping you create a child and giving birth to your child that you see for 3 minutes out of an hour and 30 or hour 40-minute process each time. Oh, and by the way, he wasn't the birthing doctor for either of my kids. It was somebody else. And I was laughing about that, right? And the husband was like, me too. He's got 2 kids. And I'm like, dude's 0 for 4, right? But this is the name on the door, right? And I start thinking about this, and I'm like, damn, that is a scaled business. Because the dude literally spends 3 to 5 minutes each time with a client, but yet everybody raves about him. Why? Right? And it's like, if you can't swipe and adapt from something as simplistic as that and an afterthought, more important than who are you going to choose or what's your comfort level with a doctor that you're going to choose to help you give birth to your children, mortgages is not that, right?
Like, for sure.
It's a completely different thing. So it's like, I was in the same, I think we got brought up the same way in the business, subscribing to that train of thought. And I remember, when I said earlier in the program, you've had this meteoric rise. I mean, dude, when you and I were working together, you weren't doing the volume that you're doing now.
Yeah, nowhere near.
I mean, it was like 10x, like 20x'd what you were doing? Because you said it earlier, and I don't want to mess it up, but you did 300
in
million?
21.
Yeah,
just over 300 million.
21's a long time ago. What'd you do in 22?
22, I think I did less because refinance business dropped off. A big portion of what I did in 21 was, so I think I'm going to end the year, I think I ended around like 185.
But you started a new company. You had to learn a new, completely, not a new business model, but a really good word that you used earlier was nuances. You had to get comfortable or get familiar with these nuances in your business that exist now that didn't exist then. Anytime you introduce something like that, it's not like, oh, got it, and you got to work through
100%.
it.
I mean, that's very true. I mean, we dealt with a lot of things in 2022.
Like what?
Rising interest rates, which dried up the refi market, as we know, clearly.
Yeah.
But it also affected realtors, which are our lifeblood in the mortgage business.
Legit.
So you have a lot of realtors who got out of the business. So it's specifically the realtors who are, maybe doing a few deals a year, right? Maybe not the people that had a constant, steady flow of business.
Yeah.
Which are going to be more established agents. Keep in mind, a lot of people got into the business in 2020, 2021, part of early 2022.
Originators or realtors you're talking?
I'd say both.
I'd agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it was, wow, easy money.
Extremely easy.
Right. And if you had relationships with someone, which we did, we had relationships with newer, quote unquote, newer agents who were successful because not that they're not great, they're great people, and I think they can do well, in any market, but a lot of those people were successful because the market was so easy.
Yeah.
A lot of those people left the business, right? So you have some attrition in regard to realtors. You lost some realtors just in general.
Yeah.
So I think the combination of the rising rates, losing some relationships, trying to continue growing existing relationships has a direct impact on the volume or amount of business you can do.
Yeah.
Making adaptations within our, like you said, we started a brand new company. Although we ran it as our own thing before when it was a branch of a larger company, it wasn't ours. And so there were things we had to learn that didn't apply previously.
There's a break-off period, I would assume. You have to ramp down and then ramp up.
100%.
Transition people over.
You're always gonna, you have that in a change, that we went through.
Right.
So just everything happening at the same time has an impact. I'm happy with where our numbers were because the 185, whatever the number is, I don't know exact, between 180 185, let's call it. A large portion of that was purchase.
Yeah.
Which was something when you and I spoke, I think it was the end of 21. When did we get, or early 2022? When did we go to that car thing?
Yeah, early in 2022.
Yeah. We were already talking about it, and I had told you, I think at the time, that we
dinner,
wanted to,
by the way.
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, that's like 5 years in the making.
Inside joke. We've been having it. We need to get together to have dinner.
Let me pull up our text thread. But I mean it this time. But anyway, when we got together in the beginning of 2022, we were talking just, hey, I want to focus more on purchases this year. That was already the plan before rates went up.
Right.
And just
because what ended up happening had not happened yet. Setting the correct context. It's not like we didn't meet in October of 2022, and you're like,
we're talking January, February.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Sorry to go off on like a personal story, but I'm pretty sure. When is your dad's? Was it your grandfather's birthday or dad's birthday?
They're both in January.
So I remember we actually got together in early January, right before your dad's birthday, and I know that because I got COVID. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I had to call you. You're the only person I saw besides my family.
We didn't end up going to the car
thing. That's the best part. Yeah, sorry to get off on a non-mortgage tangent, but we're into cars. We went to this. We wanted to go see this Supercar Saturdays thing. We finally decided to go do it together, and Derek's supposed to be going to his dad's birthday. Where, like Virginia, or where was it?
Yeah, they were coming down.
Oh, coming down to you. Yeah. And so Derek calls me up. It was the night before, I think, or the morning of. You're like, hey, are you good if we maybe just drive through it and then just drive around instead?
My family was extremely hypersensitive about COVID.
And, because there's a lot of people that go to this car show. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Let's do that. So we drive through, we go grab breakfast. Little do we know, COVID is traveling with us in me. And so, I don't even know why I was supposed to go to the Bahamas.
That's right.
Yeah, it was for my friend's birthday.
Yeah.
And so I had to test to go. And so I do the test, the at-home one, and it comes back positive. I'm like, holy shit. I didn't care about the trip. All I thought to myself was, how am I going to tell Derek? And so I had to. I'm like, dude.
Like, I don't know how to tell you this. And I showed my phone to Silvana. I was like, Brandon's coming to Fairway.
I'm like, I have COVID, man. And luckily, it was fine. I didn't get to go to the Bahamas, but you guys weren't. You guys,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I got kicking in the veins, but I didn't get it.
That tiger's blood. But yeah, it was. I just thought that was a funny story, non-mortgage related. But anyway, that's when we met. Was the point of that? We went off on a tangent.
January 2022. It's before.
Exactly.
By all indicators, everybody was still killing it.
100%.
I mean, everybody in January 2022, everybody was closing out their pipelines from left over from 2021. I mean, literally just shoveling coal in the locomotive. No signs of anything slowing down. Saw a little tick up in rates, if I remember correctly, but they went from, when I say little tick up, I mean like high twos to low threes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean like minimal. You see that now in a day. So, but yeah, I mean, so go. I didn't mean to cut you off. So
that's okay. So the plan was always to get it to Fertig. We talked about that back in January, and you knew we were already going to do our own thing. Yep. We had talked about that, and yeah, I would say that just the changing market accelerated that, the need for that.
Yeah.
Not that it accelerated it, but definitely the need for the transition anyway. So what we're already doing, we just got a little kick in the ass to do it a little faster.
Right.
And I started to utilize my team more. So by team, I'm referencing the people that are more involved on the upfront origination portion of it. And we talked about this in the first half of the podcast before we lost. I don't know exactly where we lost, but that I had learned a lot. When I got out of the business for roughly a year and a half, and I came back in and worked with you, right? Yeah. Prior to that, working for a developer was a lot different. It was more order-taking style, origination, not necessarily not really originating.
Deals were finding you. You weren't having to find deals.
Exactly right. I would say although I have experience from 2002 to 2008, let's call it, my real origination experience came from 2010 forward.
Right.
Working with you, just learning all the things to be successful. You were doing well, and I wanted, we joked around that you were a dick. It's just Derek wasn't very approachable early on when I came to work with him. But just based on, that's how, like you said, that's what you were adapted to.
That's what I was taught to be.
Yeah, that's what, right? From the person you looked up to when you got in the business. We grew to be friends, of course, as time progressed. I think it took like 5-6 years. But no, I learned a lot from that. And the point of that is that, I'll give you an example. Byron, who's my right-hand guy, and he has been for the last 6 years. He learned, the same way I learned from you, he learned from me.
Right.
I hear things he says, I'm like,
it sounds a lot like me.
That's me.
Yeah.
Right? And the point being is that, where I was talking earlier, I always tried to do it all on my own, thought I had to do it on my own, right? We said this early on in this half, is that you don't. You don't need someone to do things exactly how you do them, and they're never going to do them exactly how you do them. And I think you have to get out of your own way with that you don't need to look for you.
Yeah.
You need to look for people that you feel could do the job properly, and that are, I think being teachable is important.
Yeah.
People that want to work and want to learn. And that's even more important than someone who can be you. Yeah. Right?
Dude, we went to, you just said something that kind of jogged my memory, not to do with you or us in the past or anything like that, but well, I guess you could bring it you could bring it full circle. As you're coming up in your career, your personality type and anybody's personality type that's like you is looking for an opportunity to shine, is looking for an opportunity to get better. You take great pride in doing things that maybe not everybody could do, but there's an increase in production, there's an increase in output, maybe an increase in income, whatever the case may be. Everybody else in life, I don't want to say is exactly the same, but people that are on your team are starving for the same things. So I remember I went to an event for Fairway, actually. We were at an annual conference, And I was talking to, we have this coaching program inside of Fairway called Ignite. And I don't coach in it. I was getting coached, but I was talking to one of the coaches, and we were talking about this individual, and the person was coaching this individual, and they said, they're so good at their job that they just end up doing everybody else's job for them because it's easier. And what they don't understand is they are robbing that person's ability to be great. They are literally stealing that person's ability to shine. They want nothing more than for Brandon to give them an opportunity to be great and kick the shit out of that opportunity and then come back to you and make you proud, and you be like, great job, thank you. And I think because you're a leader now, like you own your own company. You have all eyes on you at all times, whether you like it or not. So not only are you in a position to where you're a revenue generator and you drive profit, but you're also a leader. And those things can be very, very different. Going back to what you said, when I was young, dude, when we met, I was like 29 or 28 or something like that. I was a dick. I didn't know how not to be. That's in the business. I was so emotionally immature that I didn't really, and honestly, I'll be completely transparent. One thing that helped put me on the right track was when you left. That was a big, not ego blow, but emotional blow for me, because I was like, what the hell? I joke about it with Jeff now, right? But I remember in like 2010 or whatever, Scotsman's Guide. That was my vision, right? And I made Scotsman's Guide. $60 million. And I would tell anybody that would listen, $60 million. Who wouldn't want to work with me? I did $60 million last year. Well, I'll show you a couple people, right? And that was kind of like the beginning of a huge transitionary period in my life. And I think that a lot of leaders reach their own transitionary period at different stages. You know what I mean? I wish that wouldn't have happened, but I'm glad that it did, because had that not happened, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror and be like, dude, the problem is you, right? And it started to teach, it was this tick that started a cycle of like seeking out progress, seeking out self-betterment, seeking out humility, which I think is huge. Nobody really people will work with somebody that's an asshole for you're gonna have a shelf life, because at some point people are gonna be like, this dude's a dick, I don't want to work with him anymore, juice isn't worth the squeeze, I'm out. They're gonna find somebody that does what you do, and I'm not saying you, I'm generally speaking, sure, right? But they're gonna use me as an example, they're gonna find another Derek that's not a dick, because I'm not special. And that's what I learned like around that 24 time. I'm not special, like who am I? There's a million of me, right? And I think that the people that are ramping up their careers, that go from, because I think the natural progression is what? Originator, right? And then you go to like branch manager, and then maybe some higher level management, maybe then starting your own company. Very rarely you won't have somebody. Only person I can think of that comes to the top of mind is the dude who started a movement, Casey Crawford. No mortgage experience, says, I'm going to start a mortgage company, and then has wild amounts of success, right? It usually doesn't happen. But there's this growth period where like you really have to learn a lot and get humbled a lot. Speaking on my behalf only, because I know everybody's going to be a little different. But on my behalf, lost you, lost Jeff, lost Elliot in like a 6-month period. So when you want to talk about humility check, I had a refrigerator full of humble pie. And it was like, it wasn't, those things had to happen for me so that I could then say, what is it that I want? I'll tell you a cool story. So you left PRMI, got back on my feet, everything was gravy, but then there got the same reason probably why you left, right? It wasn't a culture fit for me. And I got this recruiting pitch from somebody at another company, and on the first call, because I was exploring my options, he said, are you mission motivated or are you money motivated? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Number one, nobody's ever asked me that question before. Number two, I don't know how to answer it, because any answer that I give you is going to be some form of a half-truth, because I'm kind of both. I'm transitioning into wanting to be a good originator to wanting to be a good leader. And I found that, personally speaking, and I want to get your take on this in a second, is that like when I stopped caring about money as much, like first and foremost, because everything that had commission breath. I wanted to close a bunch of volume, not because I wanted to help the most people, it's because I wanted to make money, right? Sure. And I found personally that as when I stopped caring about money as much and started caring about people more, the ascension started. I'm not a very religious dude, but I feel like shit happens on purpose, the way it's supposed to happen, whether it's God or fate or whatever the case may be. Partnered up with Justin, found Fairway, and then, I mean, like, everything from, but it was stop caring about so much Derek, so much I, me. Look at what I do. Look at what I can do. This is what I've done. Why wouldn't you want to work with me? To like, what can I do for Brandon? Like, how can I help develop Brandon? I mean, dude, I appreciate the kudos and like, I taught you a lot. I was just passionate about mortgages, right? And we worked together, but I didn't have that experience. Now would be completely different because you too, completely different person. You got kids now. I didn't have kids then. I wasn't even married then. I don't know if I was in a relationship then. So I didn't even know my wife at the time.
Oh, you were.
Oh, terrible. Let's not talk about that. That we could do a podcast on that.
It wasn't the current. It wasn't so long.
No. But I mean, like, that was a huge changing point for me. You said earlier in the podcast about the right people. And that's the other thing too, is that I found like we were doing some really good stuff when we were younger, but we didn't have the right people around us. We didn't have the right leadership around us. You didn't have the culture that was willing to drip knowledge and growth and ascension around you. It was more like operation in a silo. Like, do whatever it is that you're going to do, but don't share too much because you find a honey hole, somebody might come take your honey, right? So Silvana, definitely a big thing for me. I mean, dude, when you became a father, I remember that you have always been really good at staying like even keeled. You know, like I remember revisiting some of the times that we spent together in the office. I mean, we laughed a lot, but I did see a little bit of a change in you whenever you had your first child, you know, and then like when Aiden was born, the second one is like you got your boy, right? And then there was, I remember I was big on like, you got to be in the office, you got to be in the office, you got to be in the office, and you were leaving a little earlier, coming in a little later, and you just, these are things as like leaders, if you don't have this experience, you just don't get. Because I wasn't in that space. Like I didn't know what it meant to be a father, you know, in my mind. And I'm sure that there are people that will watch this that are thinking the exact same thing. They're like, why would you come in late, or why would you leave early? Well, because I want to spend time with my kid. You know, like I want to go help my wife. I want to like have a life. And I know that both of us struggled with work-life balance hard.
100%.
So like talk to me a little bit about that and your now journey into entrepreneurship, because you said it really well. Like you're running a business inside of a business before. Now the business is your business. It's all yours. You're a leader now. I mean, you're a leader before, obviously, but it's a different platform now. Like the buck stops with you and 100%. Adam. I don't want to take anything away from Adam.
No, of course.
But you and Adam, right? And then what does that look like in your life now? Like people that are going to watch this know who you are, look up to you, and would love an opportunity to have a conversation like we're having and be able to pick your brain. I'm super fortunate because we're boys and we share ideas and stuff all the time. People that are struggling with work-life balance and struggling with that transition to leadership, talk about your experience, your thought process.
So full transparency. I wish I had a little more work-life balance. But then again, like we talked about, it's still this business is still in its, infancy.
Reach.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes a lot of time and effort, and an important thing, I like to lead by example. So I do show up early and I leave late. I'm typically the last person to leave the office. I don't want to, I'm not going to be the person I don't golf, but let's just use that.
Yeah.
Out on the golf course, and I expect, my team to be in the office working. That's just not how I am.
Is that a jab at me?
Are you on the golf course?
I wish I was on the golf course more, dude.
So that's being full transparency. You do have to put in the work. Now, as time progresses, will I be able to have more life? Sure. I spend time with, of course, I don't go in that early. So I started going, I go to the gym at 5 in the morning so that I have time in the morning when I get back from the gym to help get the kids off to school. That's like, we were joking about the hair.
Yeah.
Legit. I help get Aiden ready for school, get his hair going. That's his big thing.
Yeah.
The times that I'm traveling, like there are the times we'll travel for work and I'm not around. I'm not going to school. My hair's not going to be right. I'm not going to, but
That's that big for him.
it's huge, he's known for the hair, and, but I get to spend that time with them. A big thing that I do make time to do is I go to all of his games, sport, he likes to play everything, flag football, soccer, baseball, basketball. So I always make an effort, no matter what. I don't schedule anything work related when I know he has that. That's important to me. But we're still in the phase with the where I have to be in the office all the time, right? Yeah. But you do want to I think that's important to make the time. If you're an originator looking to grow, you do need to find that balance. I wish I did it earlier in my career, literally working all the time. Because in your head, you think people expect that of you.
Yeah.
But that's where also, having a good support system in your office or, on your team is extremely important. The right people, we keep talking about this, but it's 100% the truth. You want to trust these people because my production, I'm going to say our production as a team, because it really is a team effort, is the business, right? Yeah. Everyone's relying on those referrals to come in to have jobs. Now, if you think about it, that's a lot. We're not a huge company. Let's say we have 20-something employees. But those 20-something employees rely on me and my team members on the origination side to make sure we're doing our jobs properly because, like you said, you're only as good as your last, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right?
The stigma.
Yes.
The stigma is that we're only as good as our last loan.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're relying on that. So, it's very important to have the right people there. So if you're looking to scale your business, you need to find those right people. And I said, make sure they're teachable and they're willing to learn and giving them support that they need for them to be successful, allowing them to do the job. And giving them feedback on that. Hey, you did a great job on this. Here's something that maybe, we can work on to help you get to the next level. Whatever it is, right? Like I said, Byron as just a perfect example, when we hired Byron, he had 3 months of origination experience. Very smart kid, good work ethic, 3 months of origination experience, was let go by the company that we brought him on. And as time has progressed, he's literally my right-hand man. That's what I refer to him as when I'm talking to clients or realtors. And, he's awesome. And we've developed other people that, work on our team, whether they're in origination or in processing, closing, whatever it is. But it's the right people is extremely important. And that eventually gives you the work-life balance you need because as you can rely on these other individuals, it allows you to free up more time for other things. Maybe right now I don't have as much time as I would like, but that's just completely different, right? It's still a brand new business.
You're building. Yeah, I mean, and there's some of the things that I'm saying are not totally like utopian mindset, but you're in a different spot than I am. And not good, bad, right, or wrong. You're literally building a company that is less than a year old, right?
Exactly.
You're gonna have to put in some. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna open a company, but then I'm just gonna not work and let the team do everything. There are coaches out there, unfortunately, that teach this method, and that sounds great. Who wouldn't want that? I'll just start a company. I'll have everybody else do everything, and I'll just not do shit, and I'll just make all the money. That sounds awesome. Truth of the matter is that's not how it works. You have to. And you know this, I know you know this because we've talked about this. You have to inspect what you expect. So you have to be in the trench. You have to be willing to teach. You have to be willing to give people grace because they're going to fail. And honestly, if you're not failing, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not learning. You have no opportunity to get better, really. Very few people will take the opportunity to look at a win, go back, revisit that win and say, I could have done this better. yep, I know that we closed that deal, or I know that we got this deal done in blah, 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 blah days or whatever, right? But we could have been a little faster there. We could have really touched the customer, and could have gotten a better response or whatever. Most people think, hey, close a deal on time, that's a win. And we get trained like up here that's like, hey, as long as we're closing on time, and as long as we're bringing in business, and as long as we're profitable, we're straight. And what I've learned, and I don't know if you agree or not, but at least from my perspective, that could not be more untrue. I feel like it, unfortunately, in our world, it takes something drastic for you to go back and replay what went wrong, for you to say, okay, we need to dissect this a little bit. Everybody says, hey, we're in the constant pursuit of getting better every day. We're chasing excellence, fill in the blank, whatever. But I feel like very, very few people, I don't want to rehash the same thing over and over again, but very few people will look at a win and look for ways to get better in that win. It's not until they lose, whether it's an employee, a relationship, a deal, whatever the case may be, right? Like, how many times have you closed the deal and then you went back and been like, damn, I could have like maybe rescored them and saved them a few bucks on the PMI?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, it's like there's always those. Hindsight's 20/20, obviously. But yeah, I mean, like I'm curious to get your perspective on. You've had a ton of professional growth. Like, what was the challenge for you scaling? Because we replay 2020 and 2021, which were huge numbers. You said 350 in 2021, and it was high twos or something like that in 2020, right?
Like I think it was mid to high twos in 2020, low threes in.
What'd you do 2018 or 2019? Do you remember?
I wish I remembered. I honestly don't remember. Obviously, maybe around 100 million.
So, I mean, look, not for nothing, in order to double business in a year, you have to pivot somewhere.
Sure.
So, like, as you're ramping up, talk about that. Like, what challenges do you remember experiencing? And you're like, this is just the way that it is right now. This shit is not going to work. We have to change something.
It was more just a matter of noticing that most of the business we were doing was like onesie, twosie realtor. And by that, I mean, we didn't really have we had some realtor relationships, but it was more, we were doing a lot, actually at the time, now that I'm thinking about it more, we were getting a lot of direct to consumer.
I remember that.
And it's because we were probably at the time, the only local mortgage lender putting out videos on Facebook. And you were really able to, and this was leading up even before 2018, you were really able to target market at the time, where now you can't target the same way on a Facebook as anything, but
right.
Putting out a bunch of educational videos, and I'm not talking about a beautiful setup like this. By the way, there's professional lighting here. I just want, I'm talking about Adam literally holding a cell phone and filming me in front of a whiteboard, right?
I remember that, the big like glass board, and you're literally doing
whatever breakdowns of closing costs.
I remember that,
right? Whatever it might be, and we were able to market that, and it generated a ton of calls from borrowers. So at the time, we were more or less getting the borrowers, and in some cases we were able to refer them to agents, but a lot of times they had agents.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the agent relationships. To grow, you need to have relationships. It can't just be that, especially when things change and you weren't able to target individuals that are aged 25 to 50, right? It just, whatever, it completely changed. And so we started to focus more on going out and getting the realtor relationships. But the way we did it at that time was Adam would go out, and he's more heavily involved with general business operations now. It's a different role. But at the time, it was marketing and going out and literally hitting the streets.
Like biz dev.
Yeah, biz dev, exactly right. Going out, meeting with agents, building on those relationships. He'd go out, do the and I would meet with them since I'm the one originating, literally doing the originating, and go from there. But over time, you build true relationships, and that's where you get the consistency and the referrals, and that turns into volume. clearly, right, as time progresses. But it takes time. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think anything necessarily worth having is going to happen overnight, right? It's not, we're not winning the lottery here. We're working for what we have, and I think people have to realize that in this business, or any business for that matter, you need to work for it. It's not just going to happen. There's very few people that are successful in any business where it was just handed to them.
Oh, look at this! I just tripped and stumbled into all this success.
Yeah, you know, I think in all honesty, you know, with hiring, you know, we're in South Florida.
Yeah.
It's just the way the market is. You know, everyone wants a Ferrari, and that's great. I like that. I want to hire people that want that and have aspirations for that, but they have to understand they have to work for it. They're not going to show up and get it.
Yeah.
And a big piece of, like, as we're, you know, hiring, because we are hiring loan officers, right? And as we're doing that, the loan officers that got into the business over the last few years and made good money, because it was so easy to make good money, you know, that's not realistic, and they have to realize it. And that's why a lot of those people are leaving the business, right? Yeah. You know, and it's people realizing that wasn't the norm.
Yeah.
You have to work for it. You know, people see what you have, maybe what I have in there. You know, the joking, you know, you have the memes on, you know, the boss who, hey, great job this year. And he gets a Lamborghini in the photo, right? And keep working hard, and I'm going to get another one. Whatever it says, right? Whatever that meme is. But
yeah,
we'll joke about that. But you have to work for it. And that's important to me. And that's why I'm in the office all the time, and I'm working with everyone. It's not, hey, go do this or go do that. I'm literally in the trenches with them. And I think that holds a lot of weight with people, just personally.
Yeah.
Not that they don't respect you if you're not, but I feel like I don't talk down to anyone, and I make sure it's known that it's us, not me, and everyone's working as a team. And that's the reason we're able to do what we're doing. I think that's extremely important in business, or even in life, right?
Yeah.
I never want anyone to feel like they're on a different level than anyone else. I think everyone's on the same level. And that's important. That's how we operate in our office.
I'm with you, dude.
You know, it's so huge.
I hear, and I love all of our teammates. For me, and I think it's just I've grown up emotionally at one point in my life, and I'm going to cringe probably watching this as me saying this, but I would have taken great pride in saying, like, oh, that, you know, so-and-so works for me. And now I hear when somebody introduces me and they're like, oh, you know, I work for Derek. Like, internally, dude, I can't even tell you what that, I'm just like, I throw up all over myself inside, because I think of, there are people, not that like get off on that, right? But that's a flex for them. Like, this person works for me, right? We work together. Like, literally, we are on the same team. There's no hierarchy per se. There's no like, I'm your boss. At least I hope I don't say that. I'm pretty aware that I don't. I try and make very conscious efforts of saying that. But that's just not my mentality now. And I think that has helped. For one, it's helped me grow. But you know who else does it? Justin. So you can't, like, I think that it's probably the same with Adam as well. But like, you can't have partners that are not rowing in the same direction. And I think that when you identify somebody that's rowing against you as opposed to rowing with you, regardless of the emotional attachment, regardless of the financial commitment, you got to cut bait, because one person like that gets in your organization and they are going to kill you. They're going to kill everything that everybody else is working for. And as leaders, like yourself included, right? Like, your loyalty, my loyalty is to the team. It's to the success of the team. It's not to any one person. Love you, but I love these 68 other people more, because they're what literally is a pillar of our business, and you can't let one person come in and be like, nah. Okay. See ya. And obviously I'm truncating that, right? But that needs to be the thought process up here. And unfortunately, I feel like here in South Florida, you don't see that as much in the Midwest or the Northeast, but down here it's kind of like rampant, right? Where people are like, the stigma is they'll do whatever it is that they want to do. And it's not, and especially in our world, right? Even with loan officers, we got really lucky. We have a bunch of really good ones that buy into the culture, buy into the vision of what it is that we're doing. But, I mean, it wasn't always that way. I mean, we worked together with some loan officers that were kind of like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. And how hard is that? Like, how the hell are you supposed to build anything when the people that you're supposed to be building with and building around are flat out telling you, like, yeah, dog, it's going to be a no for me. I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't build a company on, you couldn't build reach on that.
Not at all.
So when you find yourself in a situation like that, what do?
We do what you said.
See ya?
Yeah, you're not the right fit. We wish you luck. And that's more or less it. You can't have those people around. It's exactly what you said. It's the truth. You need people that are like-minded and have the same goal in mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And this would be applicable not if you're running a business, but if you're an originator, you're running a business. You're just running yourself. You're running your own business, right? If you're an LO and you're watching this, and you have an LOA that is late or doesn't do their job or whatever the case may be, may love them, but you're never going to get to where ultimately you desire to be.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I like everyone. I would say that's
Except
like
me, I was a dick.
Yeah, except for Derek, I like everyone. But I'd say that's my Achilles heel. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and give them opportunity, but you do have to learn at some point. You can't just keep doing that. If they're not willing to acclimate to your culture, let's call it, right, then you have to let them know, hey, you're a great person, but maybe it's not the right place for you. There were times that you get blinded by someone doing volume, as an example, right? That may be a part of your company.
There. Yeah.
And you keep them around, but why I probably shouldn't have this person here, right? They're just a cancer almost to the company.
Yeah.
You got to learn from those things, and we did, right? And I think it's important, like growth, like you talked about, right? You learn from past experiences. Why did so-and-so leave, and whatever the case may be. You learn from those things. It's important, and you try not to make the same mistake again. So, no, I think that was a good point you made as far as everyone has to be, on the same wavelength, right? Have the same thought process and have the same aspirations. And if not,
We were, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said something that I will probably keep with me for forever. But he said, Derek, there's this little part in your body. It's below your heart and above your belly button, and it's called your gut. And every single time my gut has told me something and I didn't listen to it, it's blown up in my face. I've been wrong 100% of the time. And I know you just mentioned it, so I know that you've been there. We've all been in positions where everything that glimmers is not, or everything that's gold is not glimmer, or whatever the hell the saying is, right? But you can kind of be blinded by the production or the revenue or what this person may seem to bring to the table. But if they're not ultimately what it is that you desire, or they're not willing to buy in, right, for a lack of better term, not only are you wasting your own time, you're wasting their time. And I think Justin actually said it to me one time. We were having lunch. He was like, and I don't even know why we're talking about like letting people go, but I think it's not necessarily letting people go. It's talking about finding the right, you said it earlier, the right people around you, right? Like that is, the right people around you is a fundamental pillar to growth, and they serve a foundational purpose for not you, but for everybody. Without the right people, nobody can grow, themselves included. But I remember Justin said one time, he was like, by parting with somebody that's not a good fit, we're also doing them a favor, because they'll be an excellent fit someplace else, right? And so we're actually hindering their ability to shine, just not in our offense or not in our world. We're actually doing them a disservice. And I guess when you look at it that way, I was like, damn, I never really looked at it that way. But when you start to, it's like, why would you continue to continue a relationship if you know that ultimately it's never going to work out long term? Like, it just makes sense to find somebody that you're compatible with, whether it's personal level, professional level, whatever the case may be. There was I'm like big into sports, and I use sports analogies all the time, but I have always been fascinated with head coaches, NFL head coaches, collegiate head coaches, because especially the NFL, it's like, how are you at basically the pinnacle or the peak of leadership, and you are managing, for a lack of better term, 57 guys who are ridiculously rich. Probably some of the most egotistical people in the world. I mean, they're literally the peak of their profession. They're a professional athlete. How do you get them to buy in to whatever it is that you're doing? And with conviction, not like, oh, we're going to try it and see how it goes. And then if, it yields any fruit, and I'll definitely be in. But like, get them fired up about it. Same thing with college or collegiate football. Every year, it's like the same people that are in the national championship or the playoffs. Not this year, but usually Alabama, usually Clemson, usually Ohio State. One of those teams, Georgia's been on a nice run. But there was a video that leaked from Nick Saban, who I don't know if you know, but is the head coach of Alabama. And he talked about his recruitment process. And basically what his value proposition is, it's literally like, we want people that are not consumed with winning the Heisman. They don't want to be the best quarterback in NCAA. They don't want to be have all these personal accolades. They want to play for a national championship. That's it. They want to win a championship. And the people that come here that want to win a championship, I can guarantee you, we are going to be competing for a championship every year. And damn it if they don't, like legitimately every year. It's a dynasty. But it's like, damn, you're instilling this thought process in essentially a kid. I mean, they're in high school at this point. If you're recruiting them to come to college, you're starting that thought process of buying into the vision, rowing in the same direction. And again, him as a coach, you're a coach, I'm a coach, whatever analogy it is that you want to use, an originator is a coach. If they're building their team, right, of their origination business, finding people that want to compete for a championship, that want to win with you, not win on their own way. Yeah, I mean, that's cool, but like, as long as I can win the Heisman, I'll be good, right? Like, that's realistically probably not a culture fit. So I just found that so interesting because I'm so mesmerized by how these guys stay so relevant so long in this professional atmosphere and continue to develop like this elite level talent and take people from all different walks of life and polish them into these basically just these amazing individuals or these amazing athletes and prep them for the real world and then send them on their way to go be even better, right? I mean, when you're running a business, isn't that kind of our job?
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a great analogy to the business world for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, there's people that'll watch this and be like, "Oh, it's full of shit." But the truth of the matter is that when you're trying to build something, it's finding your tribe and knowing that they're gonna rock with you but also you're gonna do everything for them, right? It can't be all about Brandon, can't be all about Derek. Like, this is what's good for me or whatever. Sometimes that involves making some really hard decisions. Sometimes it involves being selfless, being servant. Those are definitely things that I was not when we met. Hence, the dick comment, well deserved. But I mean, the truth of the matter is it is what it is. It's just, I can't deny it. But everybody has their different path. So anyway, man, we're running on time. Let's fit one thing. Like, somebody that's watching this, and you have an amazing reputation in this business, dude. So somebody that is an up-and-comer. And, when we were doing, when Brandon and I were working together, Brandon was doing probably 20 to 30, I can't remember, it was a decade and some change ago, 20, 30 million bucks a year in volume, right? You've 10x that. Somebody says, I want to be like Brandon. What's the one thing that you'd share with them?
I would say, man, put me on the spot with this. I just stay even keel is, I think, the most important thing. You have to understand this business has a lot of ups and downs. It does. That's just how, I think, any sales business. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a sales business, right? Mortgages, if you're on the origination side of it. And just keeping level-headed, not letting things get to you personally and just sticking with it. I think a lot of problem is you have people that they just can't stick with it. And I get it. It's tough, especially if you're coming into this business. If you're really new and you don't have money, you're going to have commission breath, like you said. But But if you can try to get that out of your head and focus on helping people, that's the most important thing, I guess, is in being transparent and honest. And whether it's with your business relationships, your clients, I would hope that you speak to any client that I work with directly, and they'll tell you Brandon was 100% honest, and he, truthful in what he had to say during the process. It truly felt like he cared for us and what was going to happen for us. And I truly do. That's how I go into it. It's not about the money. Money comes, right? We all know that. We're not charities, clearly, right? It's a business. But I think that's important, is having respect for your clients and really showing them you care about them during the process. And that's when you're dealing directly with clients, but just in general for the business, is staying even keel, level-headed, and focusing. Because if you put in the work and the effort, the success will come. And everyone has a different idea of success, financial success, whatever success, just in life. But you need sticking with it, staying positive. I think that's extremely, extremely important.
That's good stuff, dude.
A lot of people are negative. We know that, and that will just take everything out of you. So if there was any takeaway from this, I would say that's what it is. Just work hard, stay focused, stay level-headed.
That's good stuff, dude. I appreciate you coming on here. I know your time is super valuable. I appreciate you coming on here, chopping it up with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Love you, dude.
Love you too, bro.
All right.